Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I've encountered a few entitled parents before, but nothing like an entitled military spouse, aka the Pentapotamus or the Panda for short. I keep hearing horror stories about. Well, I finally encountered one. I was in the middle of my lunch at the food court at the exchange. Think Walmart on a military base. On pace after buying some stuff when some random kid approached me. He looked to be about 6 or 7 years old. He says, "Hey, can I see your airsoft gun?" Pointing at the cheapo Crossman air rifle I had beside me. Huh? Yeah, sure. I set it on the table beside my tray. He looks at it for a few seconds and says, "Wow, can I have it?" Sorry, but no. This is mine. I put it away immediately. And he starts stomping around and says, "But I want it." Sorry, but I said no. It's not a toy. Besides, I don't think you're old enough to own one. He left after I ignored him wailing around for a minute or so. Shortly after, 2 Air Force Base police arrived at the food court to have lunch. They got food from Panda Express and sat at a table in the middle of food court about 2 tables out in front of me. This will be important later. Another few minutes passed and I finished my lunch. I got up to throw my trash away, and as soon as I got back to my table to pick up my stuff and leave, it happened. A wild Karen approached with the entitled kid in tow behind her. She looked exactly how the pandas were described in the stories. "Can I help you?" I asked her. The entitled kid crying, "That's him!" Upon seeing the entitled kid in tow behind the entitled mother, I knew it wasn't going to be good, so I rolled my eyes and sighed on instinct. "My son wants your airsoft gun. Can you give it to him?" She says to me, "As I told your son earlier, no. This is mine." "You're so selfish. You don't even need it." "And? I paid for it. It's mine. If he really wants one, you can buy him one. They still have a few more inside." "No, I checked and they don't have any more of that. Give it to him now." "No, I'm not in the mood for this. I'm out of here." I tried to walk out the door towards the 2 Pace police to get out of there, but the entitled mother got in front of me and tried to snatch the box my airsoft rifle was in. I instinctively yanked the box towards me and kicked her in the butt simultaneously, which sent her flying about 5 feet back. I maintained grip on my box, by the way. As soon as she hit the ground, she shrieked like a banshee. The entitled kid started crying even harder, and the 2 Pace police who saw everything got up and ran towards us. The police officer says, in a loud booming voice, "What is going on here?" The entitled mother still on the ground shrieking, "He assaulted me!" I say she tried to steal my airsoft rifle. It was in self-defense. "Liar! You stole my son's airsoft rifle. I was just trying to get it back." The other officer helps the entitled mother up but also keeps her back. "OP, is this true?" "Of course not. She's lying, and I can prove it." The Pace police officer approached me as I pulled out the receipt out of the plastic bag that had the rest of my stuff, down before setting them on an empty table. I then took out the debit card I used to pay for my stuff as well as my military ID and handed them all to the police officer. He looks at my receipt, sees my name on the receipt, looks at both my debit card and the military ID, and hands it back to me. I put the receipt back in the plastic bag, my debit card and the military ID back in my wallet. The officer says, "Yep, this receipt has OP's name on it. I apologize for having you deal with this. Have a good rest of your day." I tell him it's okay. You have a good rest of your day as well. The first police officer tells the other one to turn the entitled mother around. Once the entitled mother was facing the other way, the police officer asks her to come with them to the station for attempting theft. Then he tells the other officer to start giving her verbal commands so they can cuff her. As soon as the entitled mother realizes that she's been detained, she starts flailing around and screaming, "You can't do this to me! My husband is a captain! I will have you both in trouble! You hear me?" The first police officer responds with, "Ma'am, We saw everything that happened between you and OP. Once they had the entitled mother in cuffs, they took her and the entitled kid away to wherever they needed to go. I left immediately after that, only to come back an hour later, since the rival case I bought for a separate rifle was a tad too small and the airsoft rifle was not what I was expecting after doing a few test shots at home. A lot of this is paraphrased, as this was a year ago, when I was 13. I'm male, by the way. This is a long story. The story begins before quarantine. I'm formerly the same guy who wrote the Karen in McDonald's series and the other stories about me and Charlie before my little brother deleted my account. Charlie update, name reveal, Rose. Charlie's real name is Rose. Her hair in this story is dyed light green at the tips and fades to teal. Her hair in the present is dyed completely red. Also, she still exercises in the present at home to keep her puffness. Background: I have met Rose's immediate family, including grandparents, but have never met any of her aunts, uncles, cousins, or the like. Rose's father thought it would be a perfect way to meet everyone at his birthday, and at 44 turning 45. He looked as young as 33. The cast: me, yours truly, Rose, my girlfriend, Rose's Karen aunt, Rose's cousins, the cousin one is a brat but not entitled, and Rose's dad. Phase prologue. It was a regular party. We were about to open presents when we all heard screaming upstairs, so Rose and I went up to check what happened. Her other cousin was playing Five Nights at Freddy's on Rose's expensive, self-built gaming computer. That was the main problem, but the screaming came from the fact that they were playing that game, a game both Rose and I have a deep obsession for. For those who don't know, Five Nights at Freddy's is a series of terrifying horror games. Rose says, "Why are you on my computer? And why aren't you downstairs? We are about to have a cake." The first cousin tells her, "I tried to tell him not to play on your computer, but he was bored." Rose tells him, "Go downstairs now. Birthday uncle misses you." The first cousin tells her, "Okay," but the other one tells her, "I'm not getting off. Uncle is boring." "Okay, I will make a deal with you. If you get too scared or you die in the game, you have to come downstairs, okay?"
Fine. I may never come down.
I knew from the fact that the other cousin couldn't open the cameras that he was going to fail. Everything was going as planned. This prank came down for singing and presents and went back up. We went up with him and the game was running, so we knew he was fine. It was fine, at least until he screams, "Bloody murder!" Rose asks him, "Are you okay?"
I'm fine. Let's go downstairs.
We walk downstairs and the entitled aunt asks him,
What was that? Is my baby okay?
Rose tells her, "Yeah, he was playing a horror game on my computer."
Okay, phew. I thought he got hurt.
Nope, he's fine, just spooked. We made a deal with him. Phase 2. The entitled aunt asks,
Why do you have a computer?
"Excuse me, auntie?"
You need to be making wedding plans and having children, not sitting around playing games.
"What do you mean? We are minors. Why would we think about marriage, let alone kids?"
How dare you speak against me in my own house? You're grounded, and will be until you learn manners.
I've had enough at this point. I tell her, "This is not your house. Rose's father owns this house. You can't control Rose either. She isn't your daughter."
How dare you speak against me? You're banned from seeing Rose and coming into this house. If you don't leave, I'm calling the cops.
I noticed Rose's father calling them first, and didn't tell the entitled aunt. When she did call the cops, she didn't even call them. She just pretended. Rose's father tells her, "Teach yourself manners. If you won't, I will kick you out."
You can't do that in my house.
Are you stupid? I bought this house. This is your first time visiting us at this house. They were arguing for a long time, but the entitled aunt froze when we all heard the sirens coming from a cop car. The entitled aunt tries to explain a very large lie that keeps contradicting itself. This is my house and these people are trying to kick me out of their house. Okay. In the end, she was taken away in cuffs because she tried to attack some of us, but I don't know what happened to her. I left, congratulating Rose's father a happy birthday and saying goodbye to Rose after making sure she's okay. knowing that I wouldn't have to deal with this entitled ant anytime soon. Update. Apparently they got a restraining order and she can't come near any of them, except me. But she doesn't know where I live and whatnot. A few weeks ago I had just gotten off work and I decided to pick up a few groceries before I headed home. I pick up everything I need and hit for checkout, and when I get there I stand for a minute, waiting on the older gentleman in front of me to finish up when Karen and her sweet kid get in line. I think nothing of them and continue to look around and see if I need anything else when a pack of lighters catches my eye. Now, I do smoke. I have since I was about 13 and I grab the lighters and toss them in my basket, and that's when Karen comes in.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry?
You can't have those.
Why? I'm of age.
No, you're not. Don't lie to me.
Ma'am, I'm 20. I can show you my ID.
Stop lying to me.
I reach for my wallet. And this is a good time to say that I and all the other Walmart employees carry a box cutter for obvious reasons. I always keep mine clipped to my belt, and when I reached for my wallet, she screamed.
He has a knife.
My cutter was on the other side of my body than what I was reaching for. It's a box cutter and my hand wasn't even near it.
You can't lie to them too,
she says to me. By this time, the lady on the register had called the police and the store manager to come over. What is going on here? The manager asks.
He tried to cut me and my baby.
I didn't even...
Stop lying.
So I asked the manager to review the cameras. Only if really needed, he says. At this point, the cops showed up and came over. Excuse me, what is going on here? The manager tells him that Karen here is claiming my employee tried to cut her. Karen, in stereotypical Karen voice, says,
claiming?
I tried to get my wallet out to show her my ID. She doesn't think I'm of age to be buying some lighters. And the manager tells her, Ma'am, OB is old enough, trust me. Sir, did you threaten her? The police officer asks me. No, I just got off work or else I wouldn't even be carrying my cutter. Finally, my hero comes. The registrar butts in. I saw the whole thing. He didn't even come close to grabbing it. The police officer says, we will review the camera footage. They cleared out of the line, put me in cuffs, and brought us to the office where they monitor the cameras and set me down while putting Karen somewhere else. Thank God. And having the other officers stay with me. They went over the footage and came out and released me saying that they were sorry for the inconvenience and let me go to check out and leave. I then asked to press charges on her for harassing me and accusing me of assault when I was just buying some lighters and did nothing to her. And she started yelling even louder if that's even possible. I also got to keep my job. Thank you, manager, if you're reading this. Circa 2020 January, my friend makes a stupid decision and buys a brand new car he can't afford. His insurance is like $400 a month. He makes like $10.25 an hour working as a shift supervisor at McDonald's. His car payment is like $795 a month. Now at $10.25 an hour, 30 hours a week, that's a weekly income of $300 or about $1,230 a month. So yeah. So my friend came to me for help because I used to sell cars and know the industry pretty well. I go over his paperwork. The dealer did rip him off, but my friend is trying to find a way to get out of this mess, and ripping someone off isn't legal. They did of course overcharge him for the warranty. They gave him a higher APR, and they had add-ons and so on, but none of that is illegal. And I know the only way I can get my friend out of this deal is if they did something illegal. So I looked at his finance application that my friend signed, and it correctly listed his income, which turned the light bulb on in my head. No bank is going to approve someone for a $795 car payment if they are only making $1,200 a month. It doesn't make mathematical sense to do that. So I started searching through his paperwork for the finance app the dealer submitted to the bank. Oftentimes when you submit a finance application at a dealership, the dealership will take the hand-filled out application and reproduce it electronically. This is pretty normal. However, on the application the dealer submitted to the bank, the dealer said my friend was a GM of McDonald's and made $70,000. My friend had good credit, so it doesn't appear like the bank asked for proof of income. So I go to the dealership with my friend and tell the sales manager he's going to want to put me in touch with the GM because we're going to be unwinding my friend's deal and give him his trade in return. The sales manager thought I was joking, and the GM also thought I was joking. Then I demonstrated how his dealership finance department committed bank fraud. I showed the GM the finance app my friend filled out. I then showed the GM the finance app his dealership submitted to the bank and pointed out the income difference. My friend really made $14,000 a year. The dealership claimed my friend made $70,000 a year. That's bank fraud. That's a felony. Let's keep this simple, shall we? The GM sees his dealership is in a load of mess. The proof I'm presenting to him is rock solid. He knows it, I know it, and we are all on the same page. He goes, okay, so what can I do to make this right? I go, unwind the deal, and give my friend his trade-in back. Unwinding the deal is basically the GM agreeing to cancel the deal, and basically erasing the deal and pretending it never happened. The GM tries to avoid that, but I remain firm and remind him we can easily take this documentation and turn his life into a living hell. He knows I'm right. My friend also needs a car to get to work the next day. The GM says he'll check into it and he comes back and tells me, unfortunately, they sold his trade-in already. I said that's fine. Unwind the deal and let's put my friend into something as good or slightly better than what he traded in for. So the GM goes, so he'll buy a car similar to his trade-in? I said no. You'll give him a car similar to his trade-in. And the GM goes, it doesn't work that way. I go, it does when you commit bank fraud. The GM is clearly upset with me. And I remind him, I am being really nice and this situation can totally get really ugly. Like felony level charges ugly. Like losing your franchise ugly. So yeah, this is going to hurt, but it's going to hurt less my way. So the GM goes alright, and he looks in his inventory and he tells me that they have a 2007 Focus with 10,000 more miles. I tell him no, the car you give my friend needs to be the same or better than what he traded in. The GM counters, I'm giving him a free car. And I go, no, you took his trade-in, you sold it, and you made money out of that sale. You also committed a felony in the process of selling him his new car. You are now correcting that mistake. This isn't a free car for my friend. This is you are correcting your mistake. The GM insists that's what he's willing to do. And I tell him if he can do better than that, we will go to a consumer protection attorney and have a conversation with them. My friend didn't want to go this route, but this was our plan B. We get to get up, and the GM says, wait, give me a second. The GM goes, I have an 08 Civic. It has 5,000 more miles. But it's a Civic and not a Focus. I unwind the deal on your new car and put your friend in the Civic at no extra cost. So we agree. The GM has a paper drawn out, the old loan on the new car is cancelled, and they take in the new car again. But because it's already titled, they will have to sell it as used. That sucks for them. And they give my friend a better car than the one he traded in. For people asking why we didn't get a lawyer involved from the start, we could have done that. But courts take a long time, and this was a faster way to fix a situation. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.